An alleged suspect is shot in the head by police. The details of last week's police custody death. Andre Rollins is at it again. Find out his latest attack on his party. Plus, the DPM dismisses claims of a leadership struggle. We've got those stories and a whole lot more coming up tonight. I'm Bonnie Tude and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, a 24-year-old man was shot in the head by a police officer in bushes off Prince Charles Drive this morning after he allegedly pulled a knife on that officer. Commissioner of Police Allison Greenslade told reporters during a news conference that the suspect, who died in hospital, was on bail for armed robbery and was wearing an ankle bracelet. Simone Davis has the details.
Just around about 11:30 a.m. this morning, Police Control Room received a report of a breaking in progress in the Springfield Road area, which is just off Prince Charles in the area of the Commonwealth Bank. Any number of units responded, and shortly thereafter, concerned citizens coming to the assistance of the police pointed out a suspicious suspect vehicle occupied by 3 adult males. Officers signaled the vehicle to stop, forced it to stop, and of course approached the vehicle with a view to taking the 3 men into custody.
Greenslade said as police officers approached the men, one suspect ran into nearby bushes as an officer pursued him. The officer reported that the man attempted to stab him with a knife. The officer then fired a single shot that hit the man in his head. Greenslade said the man was alive when the ambulance arrived and he died in the hospital an hour later. He said the man was out on bail for armed robbery and was being electronically monitored at the time of the incident. When asked why it was important for him to address this issue, Greenslade said this is a live investigation and he wants to ensure that the case is handled fairly.
I'm very conscious of the fact that a life has been lost, very conscious of the fact that public expectation is that at the highest level we must be transparent and that we must speak to these issues forthrightly, and also recognize that there must be due process and natural justice, and we shouldn't rush to judgment either side, that is to convict anybody until such a person has had his or her fair opportunity before a court of law, and at the same time that we are dealing in a fair and proper way with officers that are on the front lines trying to do their jobs.
Greenslade addressed the protocol for an officer when he feels threatened.
I've said to the wider public, you cannot attack a police officer with an edge tool, with a dangerous weapon, with an illegal gun, and expect that a police officer is going to retreat and allow you to take control of the Bahamas. That is not going to happen. I'm not prepared to be mean-spirited or to prejudice the current case.
Police officials say they have in custody the 23-year-old and 27-year-old in connection to the incident. They say they've also retrieved the vehicle, the weapon, and suspected stolen items. The commissioner said the matter will be fully investigated and sent to the coroner as soon as possible. From the police headquarters for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
Police say they still haven't been able to identify the man who died in police custody over the weekend. In the days following his death, authorities released very little information. However, Greenslade said today the man was found lying on the floor of his locked cell alone. He said his body was left there until the coroner arrived.
At the time, there were a number of independent witnesses in that cell block, sensible Bahamians who saw precisely what had happened prior to the alarm being sounded that something was wrong in the cell block. Her Majesty's coroner responded, and from the point that Her Majesty coroner was summoned and arrived, that investigation has turned to Her Majesty's coroner.
The police commissioner said they will have to clean the man's face and take a photograph in hopes that family members would recognize and identify him. According to the commissioner, the man was arrested after a store clerk complained about him being near their property.
What is going to be difficult for the public, and I'm going to now ask the public to please be a bit understanding of the difficult circumstance we find ourselves in, is that we will have with the full concurrence of the medical authorities and certainly the authority of the coroner, to clean up the facial area of the deceased and to have a picture taken and circulated. It's going to be rather difficult, but it's the only means that we have now in hopes that the public will come forward and identify the person.
Greenslade said he's not concerned about officers' behavior and added that the police force is the most transparent organization in the country. Meantime, police say a man who was shot in Yellow Elder Gardens yesterday has died. We're told that the 42-year-old was standing in his yard on Old Cedar Street around 9:30 a.m. when two masked gunmen shot him in the face. The victim was taken to hospital where he later died. In other news, Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts put Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins on blast today, following Rollins' assertion that Parliamentary Secretary Renward Wells is caught in the midst of a leadership battle and is being used as a pawn. Roberts says this is just the latest in a series of stupid comments made by the former Gaming Board chairman. Kyle Joaquin reports.
A day after Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins went in the House of Assembly and said he believes his friend Renward Wells is being used as a political pawn in their leadership struggle, PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts says Rollins is at it again, making stupid, absurd, and asinine comments. PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts says he's tired of responding to stupidness from Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins. Last night, during his contribution in the House of Assembly, Rollins once again defended his friend Renward Wells, saying he believes the Bambootown MP is being used as a pawn and that he is caught in the middle of a leadership struggle within the PLP.
I say this now, and I know I'm being recorded. I believe that my good friend that I came into politics with, I believe that he's been caught in the midst of a leadership struggle. He is being used as a pawn. He's being used as a pawn because there are those who do in fact want to take the leadership away from the right honorable member for Centerville.
Rollins added that Christie shouldn't have to worry about what he says in Parliament, but instead be careful of those who talk behind his back.
I let the right honorable member for Centerville know this, and he is my leader.
What? Somebody else had to be a leader.
I could not come into politics were it not for him. But through you, Mr. Speaker, I say this to my right honorable member. The leader of the party I am a member of. I am not one who will say something to you, to your face, and turn right around and say something entirely opposite about you behind your back.
Well, today, a furious Roberts questioned how dare the Fort Charlotte MP tried to pit Christie and Davis against each other when their relationship spans nearly 5 decades.
Now he comes back last night with some further accusations about the Deputy Prime Minister ganging up against the leader of the party. I mean, it's an absurd and stupid and asinine suggestion. The relationship between Mr. Davis and Mr. Christie goes back for almost 50 years. They are longtime friends and associates. They're almost virtually twins.
Roberts says he doesn't know who Rollins is listening to.
Perhaps you should ask him, Dr. Rollins, to state exactly the basis for him making such an asinine statement. I feel sorry for the young man. I believe that he is misguided. And I don't know what is eating at his soul, but something is eating at his soul.
PLP Deputy Chairman Emeritus Minky Isaac says the party is disappointed in Rollins, whom he says was silent as a lamb during last week's National General Council meeting.
We have forums where you can vent your frustration without going outside and making a spectacle or a spectacle of yourself. And that's where the problem is with Rollins. So he could come in council. When he's in here, he's quiet, he doesn't say anything, you know. When he's in council, he doesn't say a word whenever he comes.
Now, as for the 4-person disciplinary committee appointed to decide Rollins' fate, the PLP chairman says they will be given their appointment shortly, and after that, they will meet with the Fort Charlotte MP. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Deputy Prime Minister Phillip Davis today denied Rollins' assertion that Renward Wells is caught up in a leadership struggle, calling his claims serious and baseless. The Cat Island Romkey and San Salvador MP questioned Rollins' motives and insisted he fully supports Prime Minister Christie.
We have but one leader. I fully support but one leader. That leader is the member for Centerville. The finger will point only in one direction if the truth is asked about who questions and seeks to undermine the present leadership.
Davis says the last time he checked, Perry Christie was prime minister and leader of the Progressive Liberal Party. Responding to Rollins, who claimed there are those who want to take the leadership away from Christie, Davis insisted the prime minister enjoys the support of the majority of MPs in Parliament, including him.
The final thing to which I will respond to, in a courteous way, is to force Charlotte's allegation that the matter concerning the member for Bamboo Town is caught up in a power struggle geared toward removing our prime minister from his position of leadership. That is a serious assertion, serious and baseless.
Christie asked Wells to resign following reports the Bamboo Town MP signed a letter of intent without cabinet approval, but Wells has not resigned and Christie has not fired him. Davis says as prime minister, only Christie can handle this issue.
And as the leader of the executive, he alone has the authority to appoint and disappoint. As leader of the party, he has the authority to lead and to guide.
However, the deputy prime minister suggested that Rollins is fanning the flame of controversy by addressing the matter.
I have to question his motive. I have to question whether his concern for country is genuine. I have to question that. I have to question whether he considers himself to be part of this team. If he consistently says that he is, but his actions tell to the story. I have to do that.
Davis, who is the Minister of Works, also responded to Rollins' assertion that government's failure to landscape overgrown grass along the airport gateway project shows bad governance. He says government is now taking the necessary action, and Rollins would have known that if he had bothered to ask.
At my last understanding, we are supposedly on the same team. So he says. Right? And Mr. Speaker, I'll just say this. This team will not be distracted from within or without.